A seventh grader brutally raped and murdered by someone she trusted. A man who used the internet to lure her into his deadly web. Today, hear exactly how he did it. And if your kid has access to a computer, how to keep that child from becoming the next victim. Brutal murder that began with what seemed an innocent computer chat.
He really tricked you into believing, he was 17.
Now the friends of a young honor student killed by a cyber predator reveal how the murderer got to her and how you can be sure it doesn't happen to you.
Parents are finally becoming hip to the dangers of the internet, but hearing the actual details of the horror stories, that's what can often save your kid from becoming the next victim. And that's exactly why a grieving father and the young friends of one victim are sharing their heartbreaking story. Lori Du reports.
He sounded like a nice 17-year-old guy from California, and he was really sweet until after everything happened.
What happened was every parent's worst nightmare. A 13-year-old girl abducted and raped by a man she thought was her best friend. Kacie Woody was a 7th grade honor student who played the saxophone and sang in the choir in the small town of Greenbrier, Arkansas. She was also police officer Rick Woody's beloved only daughter.
Kacie was a very trusting person, but she was trusting in her own home, in her own surroundings.
But it was in her own home, while surfing online, that she met and befriended her killer. It started innocently enough in a Christian chat room where Kacie and her friends, including Jessica Tanner, would spend hours talking.
We'd have long conversations about who we liked and how our day went.
Into that virtual world came Dave, who said he was 17 and from California.
He really tricked you into believing, he was 17 and he had the same problems as you.
Over the next several months, Dave and Kacie's online friendship blossomed. The two often talked about the death of Kacie's mother a few years before, and Dave revealed a heartache of his own.
He used a lie about his aunt being in a coma and that she was probably going to die, so, Kacie showed sympathy to him because her mom had died.
But her online boyfriend was no awkward teenager. He was, in fact, a calculating 47-year-old cyber predator. For nearly a year, Dave spun a web of lies, slowly gathering information on his young victim. On a cold December night in 2002, he carried out his sinister plan.
I'd called Kacie about 7 o'clock, asked her about her school day. Everything was normal.
With her father working the late shift, Kacie was home alone, chatting online, unaware that outside in the darkness, Dave was watching. Shortly before 9:45 p.m., he entered the house. Covering Kacie's face with a rag soaked in chloroform, he dragged her into a rented minivan and drove to a nearby storage unit. There, he raped the 13-year-old, shot her in the head, then shot and killed himself.
This individual went to a tremendous amount of trouble.
FBI agent Bill Temple says that Dave had actually been to Kacie's hometown twice before.
This was not a spur-of-the-moment thing. This was something well thought out, well planned. The stalking, I think, is the scariest thing about this case.
3 years after his daughter's vicious murder, Rick Woody has turned his unimaginable grief into action, educating himself about the dangers that lurk online.
What are some of the most common ploys that predators use when they're stalking their prey?
They'll use similar interest. They'll always tell the child that they like the same things they do. They use trust. They'll tell the child that they can tell them anything and they'll always take their side. And then they use secrecy. They'll tell the child that they have to keep this relationship a secret that no one else will understand.
So how big a problem is internet predators?
In March, Rick launched the Internet Predator Awareness Program with the help of some of Kacie's friends like Jessica and schoolmates like Kelly Letting and Brian Pickard.
Kacie was one situation that happened in Arkansas, but it's happening everywhere.
That could have been me, because I talked to people I didn't know on the internet, just like she did, and I didn't think twice about it.
Kacie died before she had the chance to go to high school, before she had the chance to learn how to drive, before she had the chance to go to her prom, all of this was plucked away by this predator. How do you deal with it?
That's one of the hardest things for me to deal with, watching the milestones that her friends and other classmates make.
You know, it like makes me sick to my stomach because, you know, my 13-year-old, and she's always IMing. Yeah. Her mom has started now reading it, and you feel like a snoop, but you have to be a snoop. I mean, did her dad know that she was talking to this 17-year-old?
Well, actually, he did, and he wasn't happy about it because of the age difference. She was 13. He said he was 17. He said, you need to stop talking to this guy. Unfortunately, she did not listen to him. He turned out to be a predator, and she ended up dead.
Okay, so give me the tips. How do we stop this?
Okay, first of all, law enforcement officials say it's best to limit your child's online time to an hour a day because
an hour a day,
because the incidence of predators increase when a child spends more than that amount of time online. One other important thing you can do is move the computer to the family room where you can more closely monitor it. And one final thing, if parents want more excellent tips on what they can do, they can check out our website, geraldoatlarge.com. Good tips that you cannot afford to miss.
Thanks, Laurie. I'll see you later for At Large.